Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. It's the one and only V, the Gorilla, coming to you live on this edition of Strategic Life with the main man of the hour, the one and only John J. Singleton. He is here. And folks, I'm telling you right now, if you need to really find somebody or amazing information that will teach you how to operate with multiple streams of income, how to protect your assets, how to move in this game called life, I would recommend to you John J. Singleton, the man who has been there, done that, and got the T-shirt twice. He is a very successful entrepreneur, multimillionaire, who's just he himself has created multimillionaires. So this is the guy's advice that you'd want to listen to. Absolutely priceless. He's not one of these fake gurus on the internet. This guy has been incredible for myself, personally speaking, for hundreds of my clients that have used him. Nothing but positive things to say, and I say that humbly. I say that with all seriousness. So it's great to have you back on, John, and welcome back, buddy.
Thank you, VJ. And that suitcase of cash I promised you is going to be arriving in the mail pretty soon. For saying all that,
it just arrived.
Okay, all right. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
So, but it's too fun, you know. There's people have problems today. We have all kinds of technology encroaching on us, on our lives, changing how we do things. And there's a lot of money interest, and there's a lot of foreign money interest in our lives. But we have tools. We have tools, and we shouldn't be a whiner. We shouldn't be complaining. We should be using the tools. We should just be smart and just. So I'm going to share a few with you today. Previously, we talked about this. The data collection, biographical data, which is the old stuff, right? Your name and address.
Before you get into that, I like to say one thing. People don't realize how ahead of the curve you are with this, especially with putting a lien on your data and how vital that is, because your data is going to be part of the new surveillance capitalism that's coming upon us, whether you like it or not. You might as well get ahead of it. And you need to look at and start understanding and recognizing the value of what is being proposed here by John, and really understand this, because whether you like it or not, folks, there's a new market, there's a new emerging market coming. Surveillance capitalism, and your data is going to be one of those metrics. It's going to be one of those things that's going to be financialized and traded because it's valuable. Right now, you have companies that are paying exorbitant amount of money to get your data because it's so valuable to them. So here's John giving you the secret. Hey, you might want to get ahead of this. Let's put it this way. Somebody's building a car, right? Somebody's building inventing a brand new car. And John is telling you how to create a gasoline engine to run with it. So this is vital, folks. Go ahead, John.
Thank you so much, because that's a good point. Because when the BOI stuff came out, you guys remember with FinCEN, and FinCEN started pushing this thing. You have to disclose your BOI when you form an LLC. You form an LLC in the States, and then you have to tell the federal government what your beneficial interests are. And so I explained, assuming that rule, those regulations were constitutional. Now they've since been overturned as unconstitutional, but I said, let's assume they're constitutional. I went back and I gave like 6 or 8 reasons why those regulations are legally unenforceable, that you would never be penalized. And then I explained to my clients, I said, I am so certain about this, that the BOI regulations for FinCEN that are unenforceable, that I will be your corporate counsel, and I will take on the liability of the reporting company under the regs with $10,000 penalty per violation. And what is it, 5 years in prison or something?
Yeah.
I actually signed contracts with my clients to take on this liability. And when I told my wife, she got scared. I said, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. Because there is no, I told my clients, I said, that won't last, but through the year. And I was right. After 3 months, they got beat in court. Then they got beat again. And then Trump came in and said, guys, stop it. You're not going to do this anymore. And it's dead. And even if they revive it, it still would be protected. So I'm just saying what VJ is explaining is there are some things that I see that other people don't. They don't see it. They ask their lawyer, the lawyer's not paying attention. And I'm just telling you, there are some things coming. Okay. And so VJ is right. When your data is being collected, it is definitely because your data is the new money. It is the new resource. I mean, it's already being used. Okay. So it's your data. And if it identifies you, okay, for example, your social security number is not yours. It's just a number. Nobody can own a number. right? No one can have priority claim on a number, just like you couldn't sell Tuesday. You couldn't rent out Saturday to somebody, right? It's a day a week. It's not yours, right?
I want to own the color blue.
right. So, so imagine your social security number connected to your name and date of birth. Now that is special. That identifies you. And so it's part of your likeness in biographical data terms. Okay. It's part of your likeness because it identifies you. All right. So that's the old school data that I'm talking about. But now we're getting to biometric data, your body, your face, the things you do, the way you speak. Okay. All these things are can be stored now because we have the computer technology and the software to do this. And we could do some crazy things with this stuff. I'm not going to get in too far into that, but collecting your identifying image and then using it later for something without terms is where we are. People are not giving terms. They're just saying, okay, what's your privacy what are your privacy statement? What is your data retention policy? They're looking at all this and they're saying, what are the terms of the company asking for my data? And they're asking the company, what are you going to do with my data, right? And you have the right to know this. You have the right to ask. But what I'm suggesting is that you put a lien on the data because you're giving that data with terms, and you have a right to do that under the Uniform Commercial Code. So we already spoke about this. I explained, how it can be done. But what I just wanted to mention briefly is that, and follow up to that conversation, is that it's not about putting a license term on the use of your data, the collection, use, and storage of it, because that may be worth, maybe $20 a year, reasonably. I mean, you could probably make it a lot more. I don't think there's a limit on it. But in the agreement that imposes the claim, the lien, the terms on the collection of your data, you can have something in there called liquidated damages. Now, pay attention to this. This is going to blow you away, okay? Every time you give up your data or allow the data or it's collected, there's going to be a data breach. And I'm not talking about the kinds that they just say in the news. All right, that's a data breach. A data breach is where the company's disclosure to you as to how the manner in which your data is going to be collected, used, and stored, if that's not followed, or if they use the data in excess of what they say they're going to do, then it's a data breach. So I'm going to suggest to you that from the moment you give the data, now I can't say that's data breach because that's voluntary, okay? Kind of. But after that, it's almost inevitable that every day is a data breach. Every access of their servers is a data breach of your data. And if it's not, you can make a claim against the company, and it's arguably a data breach, even if it's not. It's so precarious for them, but nobody's making a claim and nobody's thinking like this. So imagine if there's a data breach and you accuse them of a data breach. Let's say Google, you accuse Google of a data breach, okay? And it says in your security agreement that if there's a data breach, then Google, the debtor, is subject to what's called liquidated damages. Liquidated damages means we don't have to talk about calculating how much damages there are. The damages are what I say it is in the agreement. All right. Now, you guys can see this. If you look it up on the internet, it's going to blow you away. Okay. So you put a liquidated damages clause in the contract that says if there's a data breach, and you can even define what the data breach is in your security agreement. You can make it to where there's going to be one every day. Okay. For $250 million, $250,000 per violation, $1 million per violation. This is no joke. This is serious stuff, okay? Because this is your data. It's money. Think about it like this. Okay, so I'll give you a quick story. So Michael Jackson, he died, right? In 2009, and his estate went into probate. And his lawyers, of course, they're all trying to make a lot of money off of it. They're trying to keep his estate, right? They're trying to prevent, too much taxation, right? So they went and valued. Now, you can go check this out yourself. The lawyers valued Michael Jackson's likeness. When people die, you have a house, a car, right? People know what it's worth and it gets liquidated. Okay. Well, famous people have a likeness. That doesn't mean we don't, but I'm just saying he had a likeness that was worth, what do you guys think it was worth?
Billions.
Okay. Yeah, it was. Well, the lawyer said it was worth $50,000 because they're trying to avoid taxation of it.
Wow.
So here's what happened. So the IRS saw that. And the IRS commissioner got involved in the probate proceeding. Have you ever heard this before?
No.
The IRS stepped in and said, whoa, wait a minute. Michael Jackson? I think his likeness is worth more than $50,000. I'm going to assess everything. And the commissioner got a team of lawyers together and they grabbed all the data and they made a reassessment. And it was like 500 million, something like that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
For tax purposes. So they had to cough up the tax money. This is how important this stuff is. Okay. So when I'm talking about these numbers and you're thinking, yeah, John, right. You could do that. $250,000. Yeah, right. Well, I'm not saying you have to be famous like Michael Jackson. I'm just saying, if you have terms on your data, you alone have the right to put those terms on there, because you alone have the right to say, no, I'm not going to give you my data. Yeah, I know a lot of times we're coerced into it, but it's considered voluntary. So if it's going to be voluntary, you got to put terms on it. So you're not going to do this by just like signing up for downloading an app, as they say, right? Or signing up online. You're not going to put terms on it because you're agreeing to licensing terms for the use of like some software. That's when this disclosure is given. Okay. So because these are adhesion contracts, what you're going to have to do is write a lien that you file against the company in the county, in the state where you reside. That's how it works. So it looks like a mortgage.
Okay.
So we have liquidated damages. Now, can you imagine? I'm not talking about $50. I'm talking about $50 million. I'm talking about $35 million. You file a dozen of these against Google, Apple, your DMV. Everybody's collecting your data.
DMVs are notorious, man. DMV is like the biggest data breacher in the entire country.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying you should bankrupt your government. I'm just saying, because we are the government, but you should keep the power over your private property and let these creatures know that if they want it, it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's more expensive than they thought.
Right.
Exactly. So people say, John, this is all pie in the sky. Have you ever done it yet? Have you done that yet? Okay. It's been done, but not this way. Okay. So the case law is there. The law is on our side. But here's the thing. You're not going to take this security agreement into a court and sue for the money. What you're going to do is make your claim like you would if you're going to court, but you make the claim and you convene an arbitration panel. 3, 5, 7 people, odd number of people. It doesn't have to be lawyers. It doesn't have to be judges. It can be anybody. You convene an arbitration panel. You give the proper notices and you conduct an arbitration over the matter, which you're going to get the award because the security agreement is a law.
Right.
The security agreement is immutable because they accepted the terms of the security agreement when they benefited from the collection of your data. Okay. They don't have to sign anything, by the way. You don't have to get Google to sign on your security agreement under the UCC. Yeah, the UCC says under section, I think it's 9-203 something. The debtor doesn't need to express his consent when he's benefiting from the collection, use, and storage of your data, so to speak.
Got it.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have the obligation that's established under the UCC, which is international, by the way, and it's also adopted in all 50 states. So the UCC is there. And we have the agreement. Now we go into the arbitration process and we get the claim heard by the arbitration panel. They actually look at it like a judge would. They follow the rules of procedure just like a judge would, and they make a determination which is final. It's not subject to appeal. Once you get your award, but there's a chance you might not get your award. I can't say you're going to win every case, but I'm just saying, once you get your award, you then apply to the court for confirmation. And the court cannot look at the merits of your claim. The court can only consider whether or not your claim was based on fraud or the agreement was unconscionable. That's it. And those two criteria, they're not there. So it's a simple contract.
Wow.
So you get your arbitration award confirmed, which means you now have a judgment lien against whoever it is, Google, whoever, which gives you the right to seize assets. I know it sounds unbelievable.
It sounds incredible, man. I think a lot of people will.
The law's on our side, though.
Yeah.
But we need to do something. You can't just sit back and complain, because at some point, all your money is going to be in this as well. Your money is, a tag to everything you do in this world. It's going to be used to put you in jail, basically. Your money is going to be used to geofence you. So
yeah,
Yeah.
And that's why they're pushing this whole stablecoin thing, and all these crypto idiots are just like, "Oh my god, crypto is going to be more adoptable. It's going to set the world free." No, it's not.
Don't think crypto was
Trojan
created by.
horse.
Yeah, crypto was not created by a bunch of geeks. Okay, it was created
No.
by scientists working for the government of China and the banking system of the United States.
Correct.
There and it was there to do what they're doing now, as you see, but also to save the dollar, because not the dollar affects every major country on the planet. So everybody wants to save the dollar. You know, if you can't beat them, join them. They're going to keep the dollar up. So that's the way it's going.
Right. Exactly.
So that's the playing field of data, which VJ's saying it's money. It's the new commodity. Okay. But if we go back, and this brings us to the next part I want to talk about, is the land, the access to the land, the titles, the use of the land. We have power here.
It's all about the land. Always.
It really is. It really is. Yes. So land rights. I mean, we live in a feudal society. Just face it. We live in a feudal society. Okay. So you really don't own anything because you're being taxed for it. So we know we don't own it. Well, that's okay. I mean, we kind of own it. We have the right to sell it, right? But the government could just take that right, sometimes legally, and it does so sometimes illegally. But, you know, stereotypical, let's just say in theory, we can own property. So we can have title to real estate, then we can also enjoy the use of the property. So for example, I can have the title to my house in the suburbs, and someone has an easement on the property without owning the property. He can come on my property and I can't stop him. Or if I try to stop him, it would be a crime. Like the water company or the electric company or the cable company, those people have the right to come on my property, and the police will actually protect them if called. So it's very powerful. So this is known as an easement. Okay, some easements are in writing, some have been established for many years. And so we have easements that control the use of the property, and we have liens against the title of the property. Right. So there could be a title with no liens on it, but in many cases you have. I'm just going to talk about one type of lien. So you have different priority liens, as we all know. We have mortgages, we have tax liens, we have federal tax liens, and by the way, a state tax lien has priority over a federal tax lien on real estate. Then you have your mortgage, you know, and then you have your second liens, like your second mortgage maybe. And then maybe there's a judgment lien, right? Someone sued you and got a judgment against you and you own the property, so there's a lien there. Well, the last lowly, weakest lien is going to be your HOA covenant. And let's not overlook the power of the weakest lien. Here's why it's so powerful. All the other liens on your property, the mortgage, the property tax, those must be and will be exhausted. That's how you take them off. Either pay them off or they're foreclosed upon. That's how you take the lien off the title. But the HOA is
a lien is not forever.
Well, right, correct. And those liens are all the liens that get exhausted.
Yeah.
What they will. That's the life of it. The HOA covenant never gets exhausted, because the covenant is a lien on all the property, the individual parcels in a collection of properties known as a neighborhood. Sometimes they can be contiguous or not, but I'm just saying the HOA covenant imposes a lien and conditions on the title of the property. So imagine if you got the psychopaths out of your HOA, all right, and you put your friendly neighbors in there, and they're all working impartially for the benefit of everyone. They're not trying to, you know, run the show, but they're going to work together and they're going to make some provisions. They're going to amend the covenant. And sometimes you need to amend the covenant and sometimes you don't, to do what I'm saying. But let's say you want to make it to where the county code, let's say the county is somewhat abusive in your neighborhood. The county's like messing with you. They're messing with your neighbor. So what you do is you amend the covenant so that when the county code is enforced on the title holders, your neighbors, on their property for stupid reasons, okay? Let's say they're abusing it. And the code enforcement goes through and puts fines, and then the fines aren't paid. And then let's say the county forecloses on the property because you didn't pay the fines. When the foreclosure takes place, the HOA covenant would have a provision in there to recover the title and return it to the previous owner.
Wow.
Because it would have the last lien that would never be exhausted. And then the county couldn't say anything about that because the county's lien would have been exhausted at that moment. Once the county's lien is exhausted, the HOA covenant can just step in there and exercise its lien rights on the property. And if those lien rights say give the property back, in so many ways, I'm not saying that's as simple as it is, but you would then use the HOA covenant to take the lien and give the property back. So that way you would defeat the county code enforcement. So your HOA covenant has more power than your state law, your county codes, your city codes, and federal. It has more power. It has more power because it's a lien that's not exhausted. Everyone else has to create a lien and then exhaust the lien.
Except the HOA. That's an incredible thing, man.
It's so powerful, and we could just use it. Now, I came up with this idea because I was, during the fake pandemic, we're talking about, people complaining that the school teachers are abusing the children, right? And I said, well, why are you sending your children there still? And they basically are using it for a daycare center. So I said, okay, well, at least don't pay for it. And they said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, don't pay the property tax. And of course, they all had a meltdown. And I said, look, don't freak out. It's a property tax. And then I explained this whole concept of the covenant. Now, of course, I don't know anybody that's actually doing that. I think they're all afraid. But I said, why don't you, if you're not going to pay the property tax and they're not going to accept a partial payment, maybe they will, why don't you just not pay any of it and set up a trust fund to fund the things in your neighborhood that you want? You want the roads, you want the maintenance, you want the sheriff's office, you want emergency services, you want all these things. You fund it through a trust fund that people pay into, that pays into the budget. You guys can research that. So I'm just saying, you're the government. We have all the power. We shouldn't be complaining because we're just complaining about ourselves doing nothing. That's what we're complaining about, because we have the power. So that's HOA covenants. Okay. So you got the security agreement on your data, which is a lien. And you got the HOA covenant, which is a perpetual lien that is not exhausted. It can't be removed, by the way. You can dissolve the covenant. That takes a bit of effort, but why would you? It's a lot of power.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the third aspect of this that I want to talk about is you can control the title in that way, but you can also control the use of the property with writing an easement. So an easement says that you're giving, as the title holder, you're giving permission to someone else who's not the title holder to use your property in a certain way. Now, you can do that without writing it down. You can do it as a handshake deal. But if you want to enforce it on the long term and have that easement, the use of that property, survive the change in title. That means when the next person buys the property or acquires the title, the easement doesn't go away. So imagine what you could do with that.
Oh my God! I mean, this is the kind of trouble I'm talking about.
Yeah, but we have to do it. We have to do it.
It takes effort, and this is what people need to know. People need to be proficient in learning about this stuff, so they don't feel like, oh, there's nothing I can do. I'm just being blown about like a victim, and everybody's victimizing me. You can get off that train. You can get off that train if you want to. Absolutely. Yeah.
So there's all kinds of ways to look at this stuff. I mean, one of my longtime clients called me a while back, and he didn't call me early enough, because one of his friends was being in the situation where the city was trying to take his, he had several parcels that were running a mechanic shop, and the city just wanted it. Maybe they wanted to make a nightclub there so the mayor could feel important or something. I don't know. So, I mean, literally that's what they were doing. I mean, and I thought, okay, so he's telling me this story, and I said, well, why didn't they just use eminent domain? And so he's telling me more. And I said, well, then it sounds like the city didn't qualify for eminent domain. That's what we were figuring. But what happened was the mechanics guy that was running the shop, he thought, well, like everybody else thinks, I'll get a lawyer. I'll get a good lawyer. I'll get the best law firm, which he probably did. And $700,000 later, he's already lost one parcel and they're taking the other two.
Yeah.
So I said, you guys are fighting your own money. Think about it. Yeah. When you start fighting, ask yourself, am I fighting my own money? Is my money already out there that I'm fighting against it? What do I mean by that? Well, I told him, I said, you guys should have just simply memorialized, documented what was happening, and then made a referral to the Inspector General's office, where the Inspector General's office is working with taxpayer money that you've been paying taxes for, the life of the business, right? Have the Inspector General's office investigate the city for the abuse, waste, and fraud of public funds.
Right.
But it was too late, I'm just saying there are things like, you got to think like that. What is the best use of my time and resources, and whose resources are involved here? But when we're talking about, the government's trying to, agencies, your counties and cities trying to take the property without going through eminent domain, without going through the courts, you have a defense, you have a strategy that is very effective. Even if the city is going through the courts legitimately. I mean, there could even be a legitimate thing, like you did something wrong,
Right.
But just the same, if you can overcome that process with a lien, then who cares? And once they go through that process, they would have exhausted their claim, and then they would lack standing to bring it again. So you get the last word.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what people need to understand. The return on investment and getting involved and educating yourself on all this, it's so vital, folks. It's going to take effort. This is not easy. This is not like, I want to learn it overnight. No, it's going to take some work, and John has the resources to point you in the right direction. You can get all that on aceofcoins.com. But John, what else are you cooking right now?
All right, so we have a team of people doing this stuff. That's how I'm talking about it. But on the data security agreement, we're going to do a series right now. My team is going to do a series. We're going to actually do one. We're going to show you. We're going to do it. We'll make a claim against Google or somebody. I don't know. I'll let them cook it up. But we're going to show you the step-by-step, how to determine when you have a claim for liquidated damages, how to make the claim, how to convene the arbitration panel, and how to go ahead and get your money. We're going to go through all that. But yeah, through aceofcoins.com, you'll see links and all this stuff. And we have a team in the background that does all these things. So we're going to have it ready to run. That way, instead of just me saying, hey guys, go do it, we'll just do it for you.
Brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. Anything else you want to add, John?
Well, I'll just make this one comment just to get you guys thinking. And I'm an entrepreneur like VJ is. We always look for opportunities. I like to have fun with ideas. So I just noticed that in the state of Florida, I live right off of Interstate 4. And Interstate 4 goes from Daytona Beach on the northeast side down to the southwest side in Tampa, right across the state diagonally. And the I-4 was just expanded. I think they spent, it was at least $7 billion. They added an express lane. So now it's like a 6-lane highway, most of I-4. So I thought that still doesn't alleviate traffic. It's still packed. And I'm thinking, why not have cargo fly over the corridor, just fly over the interstate? And there's a regulatory, airspace there that we can work with. And so I use the AI to get all the information that is already available. And then I put together a proposal, and I sent this proposal. Now the proposal is like this. I'm proposing that the state create a network, an information technology and IT network that would manage these vessels. So that way people are not left with, steering things. People should not be flying things over other people. It should be, a system where there's safety checks involved, like landing safety zones and things like this. And these are slow vessels, but they're heavy. But what would happen is if the state would put together this electronic system with, you'd have like towers for communication, and we could probably use the existing infrastructure or backup or something, then it would be on the carrier, like the 18-wheeler with a 53-foot rig. That would be on the carrier to decide different technology to use and take advantage of the system, whereby he would fly the cargo maybe 500 feet. I don't know what they can do, 500, 400 feet above traffic with no people on board. And it's just the cargo. So imagine taking off all these trucks off of the roadway. Look at all the wear and tear you're removing. Look at all the safety. You just take all the people, all the trucks off the highway and have it, end to end, wireless. Like you could use blimps to do this. So I sent them a proposal, a 10-page proposal. Now, I'm not a person, this is not my area of expertise, transportation technology, but I understand some concepts, okay? So with that, I had basically a conversation with the AI. I had to open up a new session. I started giving it background information, and I started proposing things, and it started, meeting out this proposal. And then I finished it up and sent it in. So I just, if you ask me what I think the future is, it's things like that. I mean, somebody else could have done that, but I'm just saying, I think the future is using technology in a way that actually increases safety and makes things more efficient. And yeah, I'm sorry about the truckers who wouldn't have a job, but maybe their job might be the maintenance on these blimps or receiving them on the other end or loading, it'll just change the way everything works. So
yeah,
yeah,
that's a perfect example of out the box thinking,
right. I want to give that as an example, and I want you guys to think like that. Okay, just think, look around and see what's going on, and you can think like that.
Especially in this country, John, when you look around for making things more efficient, God, do we need help?
Oh, sure.
We are
Sure.
nothing like what you see in like
Sure.
China and whatnot. It's like we're
Sure.
so behind
No.
the ball on a lot of
Yeah.
this stuff. So whatever you
Yeah.
can think of, folks, something as trucking or something as I mean, just I knew a guy who made a business of power washing shopping carts. Then he got like deals with supermarket grocery stores.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because he was guy was like homeless or he was actually not. He was like, down on his luck. He lost a lot of his money and he was trying to look for a new business opportunity. He sees every time you go shopping how filthy the carts are, so he started a service where they power wash carts, and then boom, it's just like it's there's just so many different ways to make money.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like this new technology. We just gotta get a hold of it, right? And don't get run over by it. Just get a hold of it. Get someone to help you. I'm still intimidated by stupid downloading apps. I don't even do that on my phone.
No, exactly.
I may have to.
A lot of them these days are just absolute rubbish.
Sure,
they're spyware or
they're just getting your data. That's why I don't do it. So, or have a dummy phone, but still. But yeah, that's what going forward. I mean, we're looking at these things, and we're really gonna have to have knowledge of some of these things. You can't get around it. You're just going to have knowledge of this stuff. I mean, look at the learning curve back in '97. My mother was not even using the internet, and my own mother, she had to figure that out. And in those days they had the browsers, right? So people were clicking on photos or images. So it's just a new amount of information we have to learn. And if you don't, you're just kind of be left behind. You'll just be, you just be left behind, just like with the cryptos. I mean, it's something you just have to get involved with. That's going to be the future. So
right, exactly. Well said, John. Thank you so much for joining us today. And folks, again, you want to go check them out. It's aceofcoins.club, aceofcoins.club, as well as aceofcoins.com. Book a free consultation with John Singleton. He is available to help you out and show you the multiple ways on how you can create multiple streams of income. It's not lack of resources, folks. It's always lack of resourcefulness. And sometimes you just need another set of eyes to take a look at what you got going on, and he can show you the way. So reach out to him, aceofcoins.com. Thank you for listening in, and we'll be back tomorrow. Cheers, everybody.